Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Train Simulator Classic, TSC. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Wasatch Grade route by Milepost Simulations. This route came out in around September 2019, and I picked it up on sale during this March Madness whatevers because I didn't think it was worth full price. Not judging by all the videos and whatnot I had seen of it, I didn't think it was worth full price. I still don't think it's really worth full price, but we'll dive into that in a minute. So this is the Wasatch Grade. This runs between Ogden, Utah and Evenston, Wyoming. It's around 75, 76 miles. So not too terribly long, but it does have some fun grades between your two main towns, and a good deal of a good bit of road switching, yard switching, big ass yards like what we got here. Where did I start? I think I started off in Ogden. So yeah, with the route you'll get a big boy, a Challenger, and two F7s. I don't know why they really they kind of touted like you were getting something special with the F7s, but typically you have those included with the game when you buy it. If you buy the American edition anyway. I don't know about the other editions, but whatever. So you'll get that for motive power. I have these sitting here. I'll sell why in a minute. These do not come with the route. These are the original IHH locomotives, and these are the remake IHH locomotives for this route. We'll go into that in a second, but you also get a fair number of rolling stock that it's not too terrible. Some of it is stuff we've seen, time and again, but you got our flat 2D rivets that just don't look very good, but our ice reapers here, a buttload of 40-foot box cars. Again, stuff that isn't necessarily new, stuff we've seen. They are definitely better detailed than the standard Kuju stuff that we see with most of the modern American routes. Without a doubt, this stuff is definitely better, but it's not laughably better. It's just better. Of course, you'll get some of the wood sheath cars, a little short 40 foots. You'll get these in a inside and outside brace. The outside brace is kind of cool, I'm not gonna lie. I think this is actually new to this route. The outside braced models. It might be old, I don't know. It's not one that I really typically pay attention to all that often. We'll pack. But load of these box cars. You'll get them loaded, unloaded. You'll get a cattle car here. Yeah, And then a buttload of these little short gondolas here with different loads and such. And then some coal hoppers. And you'll get 3 cabooses, whatever you want to call them, however you desire. So you get one in the brown UP, you get one in the SP, you get one in the yellow UP. Boy, that is a starkly different yellow. You'll get those, and then they gave us some low poly cars for yard filler, which is kind of nice. These have a lot of the individual details removed, so compare hopper to hopper here. We have our actual kind of bracing along the side here. The low poly doesn't. A lot of just 2D textures, just kind of squared off objects and whatnot. It's really basic cars. Probably more in line with some of those old Kuju cars, if I was to be perfectly honest, but Yeah, these are nice for a yard filler, because these yards would be absolutely freaking full of rolling stock, and if we did that with all of these, your computer would struggle, if not outright stop. So get all that for rolling stock. And then of course, as I said, locomotives, you'll get a remade IHH Big Boy, boop, a remade IHH Challenger, boom, and then of course a UP and an SP F7. Ooh. So yeah, we'll dive into the detail for a little bit before we dive into the locomotive. Detail wise, the route does look relatively nice. It's between Utah and Wyoming. There's not a whole. I mean, we got our mountain grade off over there, or mountain range, which I like too bad. Looks very much like it looks very much like when we lived in Wyoming. There's not a whole lot out here, so if you're looking for some crazy wild details and all sorts of lush vegetation and whatnot, you're gonna be sorely disappointed. So let's see, track ends there. These big freaking yards even run all the way back here, which is just wild. So we got like our cattle pens back here. I do kind of get a kick out of the fact that there ain't not a one cow anywhere in any of these pens. But, you know, that's finer details, I guess. If one really wanted to go in and resolve, they could. Interesting. No bridge. You're right, bridges aren't needed. I don't think you're really meant to be back here all that much. The track work is laid out, but yeah, I don't think you're really meant to be all back here. Oh, this is cool. Got us a little bit of street running right here. There's a ton of industries around here. It just, there's spots like that right there. You can very much notice that, and the lack of anything over here. The lack of anything out here. So yeah, it's alright. It's not great. So it does kind of make actual switching, if you like doing the switching and all these industries and whatnot. There's a ton of them, but it does kind of make the industry connections a little bit boring, because there's, well, as you can see, there's not a whole lot. They didn't bother to detail out back here and whatnot, so that's a little bit disappointing. I mean, I kind of get if you're going out to the end of the route, like back here, you're not really going to be looking for a whole lot of detail because you're not really supposed to be back here, but I would think if you're going to take the time to do a lot of these industries, you would make them, you know, somewhat well detailed, sceneried, if you will, you know, somewhat functional and bearable to look at. But yeah, they didn't, so whatever, I guess. Our big old roundhouse, locomotive servicing facilities. We got coal, water, whatever you are, no clue. I'm guessing an inspection pit. I don't know what the crane would be for, but, you know, out of my knowledge, kind of an interesting combo. Here's our diesel pumps. Diesel pumps, relatively modern looking diesel pumps right here next to our slightly antiquated steam locomotive servicing facilities, but, you know, it do be what it do be. Detail is not half bad. I think it could stand to have more clutter There's just not a whole lot to really make it look like a busy interactive yard per se. You know, there's no cars, no random people here and there, no trucks, no nothing. It's just bare. It's just kind of odd. And even out here, like even in our here's our first little bit of cars. It's like all we've got. There's one parked at somebody's house. So it's not a lot. It just seems dead and dreary. But anywho, well, oogie on boogie and boogie and oogie and oogie. Wait a minute. Yeah, no, this is just one of the crossings. Bridge goes across the river, across the giant yard. So yeah, Ogden is huge. Huge. But the yard is huge. There is a ton of trackage, ton of like extra little industries and such here, there, and everywhere, all over here. So it's plenty to do. And then, you know, we leave town. And to be perfectly honest, it looks like the detail gets laughably better when we leave the yard. Like out here, it definitely looks a lot better. It's kind of noticeable that there's nothing along up here, but then again, it's not necessarily wrong. Because like I said, once you get out here, there's not a whole lot. It's extremely windy. There's not going to be a whole lot of trees and whatnot, so... Anywho, woogie and boogie all the way back here. Back to our locomotives. So one of the things that you can see right off the bat, and this is half the reason I had to stick them here, because probably wouldn't believe me if I told you. The texturing has been updated on the IHH models. I don't believe any of the modeling has been updated, but the textures, as you can clearly see. Now, this is actually after a revision already once by DTG, RSE, IHH, don't know who, but this is, I believe, the second rendition. So there was an original model, and there was another update. Or there was an original model, there was an update, and then there's these, if I remember correctly. So this is what, matter of fact, I think you can still buy. Oh Lord. I think you can still buy these things, but this is what it would have looked like, and then this is the updated model, which it doesn't look too bad. I'll give them credit where it's due, you know, polishing a turd. Well, I say it. These were nice back in the day, way back in the day. Matter of fact, when I first got into Railworks, you could buy the disc from Walmart, and it came with the Challenger and that little bonus 280 that came with the Challenger pack. But it came with a Challenger pack as a bonus pack. You could buy it at Walmart for like 20 bucks. That's when I got started. Matter of fact, that's what we have here, which again has been updated, but that has been updated again into that. So, you know, these were not bad for when they came out, but if I remember correctly, Smokebox's Big Boy had already was very much on the heels of this thing. So I don't know why they didn't opt to wait and, you know, include a quality model, but yeah. They also, sorry, I'm having to sit here and kind of look at my list to take note of what all they put in some effort. Like I said, I'll give credit where it's due. They put in some effort to kind of polish a turd. These do not stand up to modern anything. There's not much that these stick up to anymore. Like, these are on par with the old Kuju SD40s, if anything. The texturing does help a lot. These look way better than that. Way better. Overall, it's effectively they darkened everything down and got rid of whatever that shiny green is. So overall, texturing does look good, but like I said, it is very, very, very dated. And let's see, what else did they do? They changed the sounds, and that's kind of where I'm a little upset. So they both use the exact same whistle. I'll show you guys that in a minute. They use the exact same whistle, and those god-awful RSC K4 sounds are back. So the original IHH locomotives, I thought they had halfway decent chuff sounds. They sounded like an articulated locomotive. They sounded kind of deep, you know, not half bad. For whatever dumb reason, those awful K4 sounds were recycled into these locomotives. So you don't get the double chuff. You don't get the out of sync chuff from an articulated locomotive like these whenever they hit off. You don't get that deep boom. You don't get any of that. You get your standard Pennsylvania Railroad K4 chugging along, wearing the skin of a big boy. I don't know why. I don't know why they bothered to do that. I don't know why they thought that was a good idea. It was a terrible idea, and it completely ruined these for me. If these right here had those sounds, all day. These right here don't. So, anywho. Let's dive into the big boy first. Headlight, typical kind of neon white. Nothing really special. Well, not quite neon white. If you move up, it kind of looks a little yellow, so not too terrible. Not my favorite. The numberboard lights do come on, though, and they actually don't look half bad. They're kind of a nice little yellow glow. The bell sound comes from somewhere right around here. Even though the bell is indeed right here. Bell has a very noticeable loop. You know, I don't hate it. And here's why. I get you're trying to make this DLC affordable. You don't want to stick some smoke box level stuff in here and end up with a $80 DLC. I got that. So that whistle very much sounds like it was taken from one of those old VHS tapes that, you know, educate you on the Union Pacific Railroad and their big boys and whatnot. Something like, you know, Return of the Giants or whatever. But it definitely sounds like it's ripped from an old VHS. But credit where it's due. It does have a beginning, an ending, and a nice middle loop that doesn't sound all that bad. You know, it's not great, but it is definitely better than what was on that locomotive. I 100% forgot to make those drivable, so I can't really show it, but the awful whistle that big boy had was, yeah. The Challenger I actually didn't think had a terrible whistle. It just had this awful long, like 4-second loop that I despise with a passion. But that didn't sound half bad, but nothing moves. They all have the same kind of cab, which is it's just a touched up IHH cab. It's nothing really special. Matter of fact, I don't know if I can hop over here and really show a cab. Nah, they just blacked out. Look, we even have our same drivers. Like just, if you've been around a really long time and have had this game for a really long time, chances are you have those, so you're not really missing out. you know, having these. Mostly it's just color change, texture update. But yeah. Chuff sound comes from back here on the rear driver, and it. Oh, I hate that. Oh, I hate that. Also, your front camera. I forgot that was another thing they changed. So, the old IHH models, they are 3 separate objects. Oogie boogie back here to the old IHH models, but when you try to place it in a scenario, you'll have you'll have a rear, for big boy it'll be big boy rear, which will be your rear drivers, boiler cabin, all that fun stuff. And then you'll have front, which will be the front set of drivers and your pilot, all this fun stuff. For whatever god-awful reason, they decided to change that on these. And now, instead, all of this is one object, all of this is one object, and these are one object. I don't know why. I don't know why they thought that was a good idea. They made your front pilot wheels a separate object, so it sticks your front camera view right up here. I don't like it. I don't know why they thought that was a great idea, but yeah, physics aren't really a thing on these. These are old enough that fine-tuned physics were a joke. I hate those sounds. Anywho, service 3. It's a little bit better. I don't guess I made the Challenger drivable. Oh well. Let's go to service 4. Okay, well, that narrows that down. So back to service 3. Yeah. I didn't make this thing drivable. However, I can tell you these sounds are identical. There is absolutely nothing different between these two locomotives. They use the exact same sounds straight from a K4 with the exact same whistle for this route update, for the updated models. They use that same whistle. They use that same bell. They use that stupid K4 sound. So you're not really missing anything with me not driving this. It's literally identical. Matter of fact, they use the exact same tender, so it's listed as big boy tender. But when you place the tender in map, it's numbered for the Challenger, so whatever. I know you can change that yourself, but I do kind of get a kick out of how it's listed as a big boy tender and then automatic numbering system sticks it to a Challenger number, but whatever. Like I said, textures changed, textures are touched up, so this definitely looks better than this and whatever is going on here. Get it where it's due. I got a lot of mileage out of this when I was younger. I used to adore this thing, and I most definitely adored this thing, but yeah, they're dated. They are long dated. So anywho, and you'll get these F units. If you've been around, you've seen these time and again and again and again and again and again and again. These are not new. They do have a better horn, credit where it's due. They don't have that default Kuju horn that sounds awful. Yeah, it's not the worst. It does have kind of a little noticeable short catch loop, but it's not bad. It's not terrible. It's definitely one of the better horns that are included with a DLC, with a root pack. It's definitely one of the better horns, including out on the F7. Some of the F7s, they sounds are the same. Controls are the same. Interior textures are the same. They are dated. Headlights. That's all we get. Oh no, cab light. Woohoo! Neon bright. We don't need those. My frame rates took a hit. Get rid of those. Reverser, I don't know why, whenever you clock into it, it shows it forward, you touch it, and it pops back here. So, reverser, throttle, brakes, sand. We don't get to play with the windows. Don't get to play with the doors. Windscreen wipers. They sound like a sprinkler system. Ugh. Yeah, this has been around for a while. There's not a whole lot special to say about it. Am I missing anything? Anything in here that I didn't touch? Nope. Horn. Yeah, there's a noticeable pop at the end of the loop. But honestly, the horn is not terrible. It is far from the best thing in the world, but it's not terrible. Our bell is hidden back here behind the brake stand. I can barely hear it. It needs a volume boost. It's not a terrible sounding bell. It definitely needs a volume boost. Inside, it sounds like somebody hitting on some metal, or yeah, it's all effectively a bell is, but it sounds like somebody hitting a spoon on a table. Clink, clink, clink. Let's take this down the road. We'll use this and do a little bit of route exploring while we're at it. Check our tracks here. Tracks are good. So here's our whole route while we're here. Zoom all the way out. The whole thing fits in your screen. It's not, like I said, it's not huge. It's only about 75 miles. But there is a little bit to do. We got Devil's Slide up here. Scroll over here. And we got Echo. Go back to here. Peterson. So, you know, there's a little bit to do along the route. It's not just a, you know, straight run through. Wasatch Depot. There's some train stations are included, and, you know, we got the F7. I am kind of surprised that they didn't. Even that old smooth-sided passenger car was not included. Those old baggage smooth side and the smooth side passenger car, chair car, and the old dome car, like, none of that was included, which I'm kind of surprised considering, you know, I have a pretty healthy depot here. But whatever, I guess. Just take off like a rocket. Yeah, speed limits don't matter. $90 mph. I feel like that's not right. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm not. If you get a big boy up to 90 mph, you're begging for something to go wrong. Headlights are awful. Bright white LEDs. Texturing doesn't look terrible. As far as our exhaust area goes, it quite literally looks like somebody just stood up here in Photoshop and clicked with a black spray paint tool. Called it cool. But the weathering along the side actually doesn't look half bad. There's not a whole lot texture-wise. Like I said, these locomotives are very much dated and are included with every other American route. Like a door ain't even an actual object. It's just a outline that the that our herald here goes over. But I did forget to mention, you get an A unit and a B unit and a non-driver A unit. Let's see. Our caboose, we get an interior view. It's nice. Can swap sides. Actually has a pretty nice interior sound. I won't lie. I am surprised you can barely hear the locomotives though. Not bad. Not bad at all. I don't know what that is, but that's supposed to be a gauge. That is noticed. That is like mustard yellow versus artificial banana yellow. I don't know how else. I tried to come up with something, guys. Don't laugh at me. Nah, that's fine. Laugh at me. I laugh at me. Flat rivets and such. Nope. Nope. Not flat. Wow. Look at there. We got some 3D rivets. It's a miracle. That never happens. And we can wind it up. Let's go. Exhaust is dated. You know, it doesn't sound half bad though. I'll give it credit where it's due. Let's see how far off our speedometer is. We just hit 50. We're doing 52. 52, 53. So our speedometer is about a mile, 2 mile an hour off. Boy, look at that smoke. Yeah, these models are old. Oh my god. I won't lie, they don't sound half bad. They don't sound half bad. I think the sounds on these are better than the Big Boy and Challenger by a long shot. And I think the biggest killer for those two is that awful K4 sound that's been reused a few too many times. That's been reused recently, as we saw with the Rio Grande Southern route and Clear Creek, and of course the original K4s. Those need to go away. So the F7s, they don't sound half bad. They're nothing necessarily special. You know, something we've seen before. However, if you do have smoke boxes, big boy and Challenger, this route definitely makes for a decent challenge. If you're looking at this route for an increase in your rolling stock, don't bother. Chances are you either already own all of what is included with this route, or you own most of it. You're not really missing out. The rolling stock really does kind of make this route fall flat on its face. And then there are some things, like I pointed out, detail-wise back there with those factories and such. The lack of detail back there, and yet still being able to service those industries, is just pitiful. So I would definitely pick this up on sale if you absolutely have to have it, if you actually want it. Out here, the scenery actually does look pretty decent, as is relatively typical of Milepost Simulations. Their scenery detailing along the route out on the line is oftentimes pretty spot on par with quality. It's really quite nice. Are you getting some wild new crazy assets? No, most of these trees and whatnot we've seen in game for years on end. They're all 2D textures and such, but get up close and we get some kind of 3D trees, but they're pretty well detailed. They're honestly not that bad. The route really does look pretty good out here. Now the speed limit stays relatively high. I mean, like I said, we left back there, you guys have seen, we got a 90 mile an hour limit. 60 to 90s, not bad. Whenever you hit the grades, it will drop down. But, wrong brake. Whenever you hit the grades, it will drop down. You will have to slow down a good bit, but it's not one of those 25 mile an hour Canadian passes that feel like they take you all year to do. So that's nice. But anywho, I don't think there's anything I'm really missing. There's not a lot of innovation with this route. Like I said, there's not a lot you're really missing out if you don't have it. If you're looking at buying this, chances are you're looking at it because either A, you already own most of the other American routes that are worth owning, or B, you just really want the Wasatch Grade. So if you're looking at buying it, pick it up on sale. Don't pay full price. In my opinion, it's not worth full price, but it's an alright route on sale. If you've got a lot of Union Pacific stock and such, it's not a bad one to have. Yeah, it's just nothing stellar. It's nothing that says, oh my god, this is just so new to the game. It's not really. There's just not a lot to it, I guess. Nothing to really pique your interest as far as new goes. So there's one of those cattle pen yards down here. Plenty of set outs and such, but the speed limit fluctuates quite a bit. 90, 60, 90, 40. Oh yeah. Anywho, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Not much else I can say about it. So there it is, guys, the Wasatch Grade for the Union Pacific Railroad, made by Milepost Simulations. It is available on the Steam store, so do go check it out if you're interested. And I will see you guys next time.